Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the My Experience, Your Experience podcast. I'm Walker.
And I'm Lori.
And today, I'm just going to get right to the chase. Today, we are talking about the man, the myth, the legend, the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley.
Elvis Presley. There you go. So this week is Walker's choice.
Yes.
So it might be surprising because you're thinking, oh, Elvis Presley, it must be the older of the two of these hosts. It must be my choice, but it's not. It's Walker's choice.
Yes.
It actually is Walker's choice.
Yes.
I was going to say that typically, you like we were just saying, you would think it was my choice, but really Elvis isn't even from my generation. Elvis is from like my mom and dad's generation.
Yeah, from Nan and Papa's generation.
Yeah, so that's more of like the boomer generation, like Generation X or Generation Z.
Yeah.
But Walker, you're super into Elvis, so this was your choice.
Yes.
Can you maybe talk a little bit about why you wanted to choose Elvis?
I mean, I've been a fan of Elvis for, I'd probably say maybe like 2 or 3 years now. I can't exactly remember how I got into it, but I think just one day I was told that my hair, because my hair it goes up instead of like going down, it goes up. It's like Elvis's hair.
You don't have the Elvis pompadour going on right now.
No, not right now.
You recently got your hair cut.
I got my hair cut.
Yeah.
But when it's like fully grown, it goes up. And I just got like tons and tons of comments saying that like, you look like Elvis Presley. I'm just like, who's this Elvis Presley?
Who's Elvis Presley?
Who's this Elvis Presley guy? I'm like, I've heard a little bit about him, but not a whole lot. But then after all that, I was like, I want to know who this Elvis Presley guy is. And then I learned more about him, and somehow I don't remember exactly how. But then I saw the trailer for the Elvis movie, directed by Baz Luhrmann, and Austin Butler as Elvis, and Tom Hanks as Tom Parker.
Yeah, and you really like that.
I did.
And you took, who'd you take?
I took Papa.
You took Papa, so it was his generation.
It was.
He would tell you that he wasn't really a big Elvis fan, but that's probably because Papa was a little bit more straight-laced, I would say. You know, like he wasn't rebel like Elvis Presley was.
Yeah.
I would think that Nana was probably a bit more Elvis Presley fan, but I think that she was even more, I don't know. I have very vague memories of it, but I will share my thoughts on that. But you took Papa to go see that movie, and then like a year later, it was, or maybe like 6 months later, it was streaming, and we watched it.
Something like that, yeah.
And so then I watched it, and I thought it was really cool. But like seeing the fashions from back when he started, it makes me think of the old pictures of Nana and Papa. Yeah. And that sort of stuff. So what did you learn about Elvis that really intrigued you?
I guess it was just really like how, like what his early life was as like a singer and such, is that like his moves were quote unquote like, they were rebellious.
They were rebellious. Yes, risque. That's probably what they called it.
Not a lot of people were a fan of it. And
were you surprised when you saw the film to learn that? Like that they were like, you know, they were trying to tell the women not to scream or he wasn't allowed to wiggle on TV. Yeah. Like, can you imagine that now?
Anybody can wiggle on TV.
Anybody can wiggle. I can do more than wiggle on television these days. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I mean, like that's the way the world was back then. Wasn't that kind of weird? Yeah. And then what about the music?
The music was excellent in that movie. Like you have like, it's both Austin Butler and also like Elvis also like singing.
And you have downloaded several onto your phone?
Yes, several. Several.
Do you have any favorites?
Viva Las Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas.
Blue Suede Shoes.
Las Vegas.
Copyright.
Blue Suede Shoes. And so because I think Viva Las Vegas, but you've tied, and most people have tied Elvis Presley into Vegas. Because he lived there, he played out of there, right? And so when you think of Vegas, you do think of Elvis Presley. And so you keep telling me you want to go to Vegas, don't you?
I don't want to go to Vegas to like, you know, gamble my money away. I just want to go see like Elvis impersonator shows. Yeah, that's all I want to do.
I've joked that I think Walker should become an Elvis impersonator.
Things are open to it. I'm open to it.
You're open to it. So you've loved the music, and you'll play the music, and so sometimes like if I'm listening to like music on like Pandora, or even if we're like in the car and a song comes on, and you'll have your headphones on, and then an Elvis song will come on, and I'll be like, Walker, listen, and then we'll sing Elvis songs together. Yes. So that's a lot of fun. And then you knew that he was an actor, that he acted in a bunch of movies. Do you know how many?
I don't know how many movies like he actually like starred in, but it's definitely a lot.
That's a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, a lot more than I thought as well. I was like, huh.
I'll have to look that up and add that into our little, you know, I usually add some little facts. I'll have to add how many films he was in.
Yeah.
But we had looked up a few of the films that he was in and saw what could we stream, right?
Yeah.
Like on any of the streaming services that we had. And then for Easter, was it Easter I got you a little compilation?
Yes, it was Easter for...
Yeah. So what movies did we watch?
Viva Las Vegas.
Viva? Yep.
GI Blues.
GI Blues, yep.
Girls, Girls, Girls.
Yeah, which felt like they were connected somehow.
Yes.
And they were almost very similar. Actually, all three of them were probably.
They're all of Elvis's movies I feel like are very, very similar. Because it's basically like, it's Elvis's character, and he's like a captain of a boat or something like that, and he ends up like charming this one girl, and then they end up like falling in love, and they end up having like a sort of falling out
because all the other girls hit on him.
Yeah,
usually.
And then he gets the girl back, and then they get married even after like a week after they meet.
Yeah. So it was a Jedi Blue, or no?
GI Blues.
GI Blues, and then what was the other one? The blue.
Girls, Girls.
Girls. Was that the one they were in Hawaii? I mean, I think
that was Blue Hawaii.
Oh, Blue Hawaii.
Yeah.
And all the. That was
because he and his girlfriend were already together for a long time,
and he came back from the military. That's why that one seems like it's connected to Jedi Blue, GI Blues in some way.
Jedi Blues.
We need to do a variation of that. Well, who is the kid who is on? We're deviating for a second. Who's the kid who is in Acolyte who just wanted to go home?
Torvin.
Oh
God.
No, poor Torvin.
Oh jeez.
So, like the movies?
Mm-hmm.
Did you enjoy those movies?
Yes, but I really enjoyed those movies, and we still have a lot more movies to watch.
We do have a lot more movies. And yet, like, what do you think about his fashion sense?
His fashion is excellent. I love.
You love his fashion. Do you love his fashion from like back, like when he first started out?
Absolutely.
Or what about his Las Vegas fashion? Near the end of his life.
I've loved his fashion like ever since like he like started doing like he wears these like nice suits and like just like dance in them, and then I love his like suits that he wore
with
like,
all the bedazzles and the big belt buckle and
in the 70s
and the cape and everything. You like that too?
Yeah.
So speaking of that one, Uncle Mike, remember he made a Jedi Elvis costume for a Halloween party.
Or as a friend of mine says it, AJ from HollowNet Marauders said Jelvis.
We haven't tried that on, but we should probably we'll try that on and we'll take a picture and we'll add it to our little video here because I really want to see you in it.
Oh boy!
So my friend Mike went to a party and it had to be Space Vegas, I think, and so you had to make a costume
Vegas or something
of that nature. So he made a Jedi Elvis costume.
Yes.
So, and then sent it to you because he had to use for it afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on Elvis?
My thoughts on Elvis as a person.
Elvis as a person. So Elvis as a person is very controversial in some ways.
Yes.
But what is your thoughts from watching the movie and the things that you've learned? I
think he just like from what like the movie showed me, he just seemed like a great sort of a great guy, but like he wowed all the girls that he just he was
a ladies' man.
Yeah, a ladies' man. But I thought like overall like during his career, I thought he was like a great man and like. He how should I put it?
He just wanted to be himself.
And
then he also wanted to take care of his family.
Yes. He's a family man, and I respect that.
He made some bad choices.
He did.
Right. Like I said, his
life
was
most
controversial.
of them are not his fault because he had a bad manager.
There was
Tom Parker.
I think there probably weren't people who were able. I think he got taken advantage of.
Yes,
kind
absolutely.
of led astray. But
absolutely.
Was he eccentric? Oh yeah. But that's sometimes fame and that sort of thing. If unchecked, it happens. Unfortunately, if you don't have a good base, a good foundation, and good people around you. I think probably his parents probably tried to do the best that they could.
Oh, absolutely.
And then his wife,
Priscilla. Yeah.
Priscilla, so that's a little bit of a controversial connection as well.
Story as well. Yeah.
So for me, Elvis has been in my life my entire life, right? Because Elvis is before, like I said, my parents grew up with Elvis, right?
But you were born into the 70s all the way up until he died.
Yeah, so I was born in 1970, and Elvis Presley passed away in 1977, so I was 6 years old.
Yes.
when because it was the summer of '90, so I was 6.5 years old.
Yeah.
My memories of it, of Elvis, was that, I'm sure that Nana listened to music, Elvis music, but she typically listened to radio, whatever was on the radio. And at that time, I guess Elvis was it must have been on the radio when I was like,
oh yeah,
between the ages of being born until 6.5.
Absolutely.
My memories are kind of fuzzy there, so it's hard to remember.
Yeah, you were young.
Yeah, I was very young, but my Aunt Jerry and my grandmother had a 8-track tape player in their house. Have you ever seen an 8-track tape?
I don't think so.
It's a big, like, blocky thing. And Auntie Jerry used to play Christmas music through it a lot. And he had Christmas music.
Blue Christmas.
Blue Christmas. Yeah. So my clearest memories of Elvis is Christmas music.
Yeah.
Then I do have, I want to say it's both very clear and very cloudy. But I have this memory of when Elvis passed away.
Yeah.
I have this memory of the concert that was on television. And so I just looked, right before we started this conversation, I looked it up because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't misremembering. But because when we watched that movie about him, he had a telecast like all around the world concert. Yeah. And that was actually back in the 60s. So clearly I was not born because I wasn't born until 1970.
That Aloha from Hawaii.
Yeah. So that went all over the world. But then I just looked up, and there was a concert that happened in 1977, and that was the last. I'm pretty sure it's the last concert that he had, which we just discovered as we were talking happened to happen on what day?
Dad's birthday.
Yeah. So your father, my husband's birthday, when he was probably turning 9.
Dad was 7.
7.
He was 7. Yeah.
No, he was just turning 8. He was born in 69.
Oh yeah, you're
turned
right.
8.
Yeah.
So I imagine that I had seen that concert on TV.
Yeah.
I have this vague memory of like being in a house, maybe one of my parents' houses, and they were watching it. I think that's what was happening. But my memory of Elvis was like, the parents were watching the old people, right? They're younger than I am now, but they're watching Elvis, and I want to just go play with toys, right? So it was kind of like a background thing. Yeah. And then about a month later, I remember everybody being sad, and I remember hearing about Elvis passing away. But again, I'm only 6.5, so how much am I understanding it?
Yeah.
But I've always had memories. I don't know if this is because I've learned the stories afterwards that he died because of drug use and alcoholism. And so I don't know if this was something that was very specifically taught to me, if this was something because I had heard that this happened to this man. But I've never drank and I've never done drugs. Right? We've had that conversation. And I don't know if that partially stems from that because it was such a world, phenomenon, it's not the word, a world event. Like everybody mourned him. Yeah. But at the same time, like my little brain knew it was because he did bad things to himself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
it was also technically his doctor's fault as well.
And lots of there's many celebrity who have had similar situations because that was the era that I grew up in. Was that Elvis was really in his decline, right? It was to me. So how old was he when he died?
42.
42, which is 11 years younger than I am right now, right?
Yeah.
But back then, when I was 6, he was an old guy. Yeah. Right? Yeah. He was older than my parents. Yeah. So he was an old guy. So I was like, who's this old, not well put together guy who's like sweating all over the place and all these women are going crazy? Like it was just, it didn't make sense to me. Yeah. Right? So. You
didn't know how important he was to the world.
No, I mean, he was on the radio, just like he was 90. Yeah. But clearly everybody loved him. Yeah. And the women screamed and went gaga over him, and my little brain just couldn't understand the reasons why. So growing up with that history of Elvis, whenever I would hear an Elvis song, I would think back to like that Elvis. An Elvis that was not taking good care of himself, was like just a mess, right? So and then so many times throughout, in movies and TV shows and comedy sketches, people make fun of that Elvis. Yeah. Right? So I think my experience with Elvis was very tainted by that. It really wasn't like this is a memory that I have. Like when me and your dad used to love to go to flea markets. Yep. You walk through flea markets and there's all these older folk who are trying to get rid of their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I identify with that very much now. But anyway, all these older folk who are trying to get rid of their stuff, and a lot of them have like old music and stuff, and they're playing their radio, their cassette tape, and it's Elvis Presley, right? And I'm like, oh, Elvis Presley, right? It's such old music, like
old music,
Elvis Presley, and it's just like it was a negative connotation in my head. Like I was like, oh, let's move on. I don't want to listen to Elvis, right?
These days.
But these days,
ever since I got into Elvis,
ever since you got into Elvis, Walker, like I've really been able to enjoy Elvis and his music. Like I said, whenever a song comes on the radio, because it does still come on the radio from time to time, or if we're listening to a music app or something and it comes on, we'll stop and we'll sing it together, right? And I enjoy it. I can appreciate it. And then seeing the movie with you, and seeing what he went through. I had seen other movies, you know, so the Priscilla situation, that's another, like, stories that I heard. Priscilla was much, much younger than Harry. I think she was 14 or 16 when they first met.
14, I think.
Yeah, like, again, wrong, right?
Yeah.
But again, a different era.
Different times.
But, you know, the stories that I heard growing up. So, but clearly she's still involved with his legacy. You know, that her and her daughter, who unfortunately passed away so recently, they've all lived a probably the best life in the world.
Yeah,
they've benefited, but there's also some negativity that they've gotten from it, and they've had their struggles. But she's, you know, even though they divorced,
she still loves him.
She still loves him, and that definitely seems clear.
Yeah.
But as of the music, as of the movies, like to rediscover those now in the the late quarter of the I don't know what century, 21st century?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is, right?
Or 21st.
Yeah, we're 21st century. It's been fun.
Yeah.
The movies, I would say Elvis is probably not the best actor, but I know you're going to disagree, and that's fine. You can disagree. But compared to like movies now, right?
Yeah.
And also, really, it was a different time. And so there's some stuff that happened in some of these movies, and you're like, even though Elvis wasn't supposed to be able to wiggle or do whatever, there's like innuendos and things that are said or alluded to in these movies that you're like, what? But again, different era, right? You can't go back and change things that have happened.
Yep.
But I guess I have a newfound love for Elvis. I don't think it's as obsessed as you are with Elvis, but I can appreciate
obsessed is a strong word.
I appreciate your love and passion and dedication for Elvis. I was gonna say I think probably where Elvis really started to have his resurgent was Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, I think I've seen that movie, but it's been a long time. But Stitch dresses up as Elvis Presley.
All the music in that movie is Elvis Presley.
Is it really?
Pretty much all of it. I would say like probably.
I need to go listen to that now.
I think like 80% of the music in that film is Elvis music.
Oh, I need to go watch that movie.
Again, back to Hawaii, right? He clearly had a connection to Hawaii.
Very big connection to Hawaii.
But yeah, so there's a lot of fun, and when we saw it, you're like dancing along to it. Yeah. You know, I think that movie. So we looked it up. What year was it?
2002.
2002. Lilo and Stitch came out, and I think that movie helped make Elvis cool again. I think Stitch helped make Elvis cool again, at least for some people.
I wasn't even born yet.
You weren't born yet, but I think that started the kind of research, like people start thinking about Elvis and stuff. But he's iconic. Like you can find his imagery on everywhere and anywhere. People still mention him. He's still referenced in movies and TV shows and books, right? He's part of our culture. He's definitely pop culture, which this podcast is mostly about. So it has been fun rediscovering Elvis.
Yeah.
Through your eyes, and I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Is there any other things that we?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I should have put Stitch with his little pompadour. Too bad we didn't have a Stitch Elvis.
Oh, I know. I wish.
Yeah. So I hope that you all enjoyed our conversation about Elvis Presley, and maybe you have discovered some new things about Elvis Presley. If you're a fan, share your thoughts with us. We'd love to hear them. And if you have some other thoughts about other like music acts from that era, we would Walker would really like to know, because he's always wants to discover new music.
Absolutely.
So when we come back, we'll do our Star Wars question,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we'll answer that. Be back.
And we are back, and just like at the end of every episode, we pick a Star Wars card from our, I've never called, Star Wars 125 conversation cards for dinner, parties, movie marathons, and more. The chat pack.
The chat pack.
So I believe that I am picking this week.
I believe you're
like you
picking
said.
this. Yes, I'm pretty sure you're picking this week.
Okay.
That's from the big side.
Big side, yep.
Yep. All right, Walker, what's the question? What's the topic?
Characters.
Characters.
Oh, I love characters. Which Star Wars character do you wish was your best friend? That was a good one.
Oh, your best friend. Which character who gets to answer first? Me or you?
You go first.
It's a hard question.
I know, it's a hard question.
Who do I wish was my best friend?
Yeah.
I think I wish Princess Leia was my best friend.
Why?
Why? Because I think she would help give a lot of insight into things. She just seems to be somebody who can help set a tone, can like bring hope.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when I'm feeling a little, like I have a little bit of a despair,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like I'm struggling, I feel like she is somebody who could see the light and the positivity and help me, guide me, or like make suggestions on how to like get past a difficult time.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
It's between Mara and Jaina.
It's your answer. I'm not going to give you my opinion.
I mean, you can give me your opinion.
You tell me why.
They're both fierce. They're both like, they always want to like be out there, and like that's sort of like me, like where I'm just like, I don't want to just like sit around and like not do anything. Like I want to go out there and like do stuff. Yeah.
My opinion.
Mm.
I think Jaina would be the better option.
Yes, absolutely.
I think if I was going on a mission,
Yep.
or I was in a difficult situation,
you can always count it.
I was going to say, I think Mara would be somebody I would definitely would take along. I love Mara.
Yes.
I do. And she probably is a good friend, but I don't think I don't think she's the kind of friend who would be like, hey, let's go hang out.
Yeah.
You know, and if you wanted to you need somebody to cry, like a shoulder to cry on.
It's more for Jaina.
I think Jaina would be more willing to sit there and listen to you and help, like kind of like her mom would listen to your situation and help give and give her advice.
Like mother, like daughter.
Mara, I would think, is more action, and she'd be like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah, I
think she'd be cool to hang out with, but
yes.
I don't know if I had to choose one to be a friend.
Jaina.
I think Jaina.
Yeah,
I think
Jaina.
So those are our answers.
Yep.
If you want to share your answer, you can leave it in the comments, or you can leave a comment on Instagram or send us an email to myexperienceyourexperience@gmail.com. How else, and how can they find us again?
They can find us on YouTube and Instagram right now. We are planning on doing being other mainstream social medias, but yeah, you can find us on YouTube and Instagram right at the moment.
Right. So we hope you enjoyed this conversation about Elvis.
To like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. Remember to turn on those notification bells to get notified whenever we upload our next video.
He's so good at that.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks all. Have a great one.
Take care.